The fear of being rejected is like invisible shackles binding the will of most people. But Machiavelli claimed that once you shed this yoke, the world itself will bow before you. Right now, countless men and women dare not take the first step towards someone they're attracted to or stay silent in important meetings, solely from the terror of hearing no. They've all voluntarily become prisoners of their own insecurity, where the role of merciless jailer is played by panic fear of judgment from others. But what if I told you that rejection isn't your enemy at all, but rather a hidden tool of influence capable of radically changing the balance of power in your favor? In this analysis, we'll examine in detail how principles of dark psychology and Machiavellianism allow you to transform the bitterness of social defeat into pure energy of power. You'll understand why the most dangerous and influential figures of our time deliberately seek conflict, and you'll learn to use their methods for total dominance in any sphere of life. By the end of our discussion, you'll realize that it's precisely fear of others' opinions that makes a person weak, vulnerable to manipulation, and completely invisible to history. Moreover, you'll receive a precise algorithm of actions that transforms any failure into your strategic advantage. I propose that you fix this key mindset in your consciousness right now. I accept rejection as a necessary part of the path. And we move to the essence of this psychological trap. The problem lies in the fact that your brain perceives social rejection as a direct physical threat, activating the same pain centers as a real blow. Neuroscientists confirm this through scanning. When you face rejection, the anterior cingulate cortex lights up, the zone responsible for processing physical pain. This ancient mechanism once saved our ancestors' lives because exile from the tribe meant certain death in the wild, and the brain learned to react to this as a critical danger to survival. But we haven't lived in caves for a long time, yet this archaic alarm system continues to control your behavior, forcing you to remain small, predictable, and weak. Think about it. Practically every fateful decision in your life was dictated by a subconscious desire to avoid rejection. Whether it's an unsent resume, unstarted relationships, or a business idea buried from fear of mockery. You've been trained to perceive the word no as a catastrophe, but it's precisely this mindset that turns reality upside down. When fear of rejection takes over, you inevitably become convenient for others and easily controlled, diluting your judgments to complete meaninglessness. You begin cutting your own ambitions, trying to squeeze them into the narrow framework of others' comfort, and act so cautiously that you become invisible. Powerful people love this. They adore those ready to reshape their personality and betray their own principles just to avoid facing disapproval. Such dependence on others' evaluation strips you of inner core, forcing you to beg for crumbs of attention instead of confidently taking what's yours. This transforms a potential leader into an eternal follower, transforming a person born to rule into one who is ruled by others. The cruel irony is that the more you fear rejection, the more often you'll encounter it in reality, because insecurity attracts failure. Desperation has a specific smell that people sense from miles away, and there's nothing more repulsive than obvious painful neediness for approval. Others instantly read your weakness when they see you bending over backwards trying to please and tiptoeing around their opinion. Nothing kills respect faster than behavior of someone who needs others' recognition more than their own success and dignity. Recall those you genuinely respect. Do they change their beliefs for your smile or appear dependent on your praise? On the contrary, only those who absolutely don't care whether they're accepted or not have authority, while fear creates a vicious circle. Fear of rejection breeds neediness, and neediness provokes even greater rejection. Confident people win not because they're always told yes, but because rejection has no power over them. They voice their desires without attachment to outcome and take risks without fear of being crushed by failure. Machiavelli perfectly understood that fear of social judgment is the leash on which rulers hold the crowd. Therefore, remember the second important thought: fear cannot control me. The great Florentine held a radical view, claiming that a person fearing rejection will never achieve true respect. In his treatise, The Prince, he formulated a profound truth. An effective leader cannot afford the luxury of being loved by everyone, because attempting to please everyone is the shortest path to losing power. As the thinker himself wrote, since love and fear can hardly coexist, if one must choose, it's much safer to inspire fear than love. For you, this means the necessity to develop immunity to hostility, criticism, and direct disdain from the crowd. You must be internally prepared that your ideas, decisions, and even your personality may be rejected, and perceive this with ice-cold calm. Look at history's titans. Julius Caesar knew the Senate might declare him an enemy when crossing the Rubicon, but he took that fateful step anyway. And Steve Jobs, having been fired from his own company, returned and built an empire. These people understood that rejection is merely dry information, feedback from the world, not a verdict on their significance. They didn't run from conflicts, but went toward them, making bold moves with full awareness of risks. And it's precisely this readiness to resistance that made them truly invulnerable. As soon as you stop fearing the word no, others lose the main levers of control over you, because absence of thirst for approval grants genuine power. Machiavelli rightly noted, everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. The one who fears rejection is doomed to eternally play a role and pretend to be who others want to see, while true strength opens only to the one ready to accept rejection with cold calm and dignity. Look at rejection from a different angle. It's not merely an obstacle, but a powerful psychological weapon that can be turned in your favor. It's commonly believed that rejection serves as proof of your inadequacy, but this is a fundamental error, because in reality, it's an indicator of strength. Think about it. Who gets told no most often? The cautious one or the one who takes risks? Successful people constantly face resistance precisely because their bold steps threaten the usual order of things and challenge established systems. Every outstanding entrepreneur, creator, or leader passed through a wall of misunderstanding, because innovators are often rejected by those unable to look into the future. Here works the principle of desensitization. The more often you encounter rejection, the more fearless you become, turning psychological pressure into a kind of emotional training. While most hide in comfort zones, remaining vulnerable to real difficulties, the person seeking resistance gains immunity. Bullets of others' opinions simply bounce off their armor. As soon as you demonstrate complete indifference to others' evaluation, an amazing metamorphosis occurs. People themselves begin seeking your approval. Psychology works in reverse. Neediness repels, while self-sufficiency attracts like a magnet. Recall any charismatic person in society. They don't try to impress anyone and don't seek confirmation of their significance. And it's precisely this calm confidence that makes others seek their attention. This principle is universal for business, leadership, and personal relationships. You gain high value only when you don't fear loss. People subconsciously gravitate towards what's unavailable and value only what doesn't come freely. Therefore, absence of desperation makes you a prize worth winning. Power dynamics change radically. Now, you're not proving your significance, others are trying to meet your standards, already fearing your coldness. Machiavelli wrote that people judge more with eyes than hands, for all can see, but few can feel. Others evaluate you not by the fact of rejection, but by your reaction to it. If failure doesn't knock you off course, people automatically attribute hidden resources and power to you. A silent question arises: what does he know that I don't? And this curiosity inevitably grows into respect and influence. The secret is that you don't have to be absolutely emotionless. It's enough to maintain external composure and continue acting. Even if rejection stings, you're free not to let this emotion dictate your behavior, practicing what psychologists call emotional regulation. Unlike those who become slaves to their experiences and fall into despair, strong personalities feel the same negativity but use it as fuel to move forward and prove themselves right. Let's move to practice and consider a strategy that will turn rejection into your asset. Strategy 1. Learn to expect resistance and never beg for consent. Most people live in hope of yes and break when hearing no. But the correct approach is initial readiness for a harsh answer. When you plan for such an outcome in advance, you become invulnerable to disappointment, and any success is perceived as a pleasant bonus, not a life necessity you can't do without. Most importantly, readiness for rejection frees you from the humiliating necessity of begging for approval. You simply make an offer, state the essence, and if needed, move on. Such confidence attracts like a magnet, precisely because these days it's become rare. Most people, when making requests, apologize in advance and leave their conversation partner masses of escape routes. Phrases like, "I don't know if this will interest you," or "if it doesn't trouble you," practically guarantee failure, as they signal that you yourself don't believe in your proposal's value. Instead, learn to ask confidently, accepting in advance that some people will say no and there's no tragedy in this. Others' rejection doesn't mean you're worthless. Most often, it only indicates the conversation partner didn't see potential or your goals simply don't align. When fear of hearing no disappears, you gain freedom to play big, take risks, and chase opportunities that frighten others, because unsuccessful outcome no longer knocks the ground from under your feet. Such psychological armor also reliably protects from emotional manipulations others often resort to. If someone tries to feign offense at your request or make you feel guilty for having high standards, you don't lose balance because you anticipated such reaction. Remember Machiavelli's words that a lion is defenseless against traps and a fox is powerless against wolves. Therefore, you must be a fox to recognize rejection's trap and a lion to not allow anyone to use that rejection as a tool of control over you. Strategy 2. Use rejection as a strategic weapon to strengthen your own authority. What's available to everyone quickly devalues. As soon as you begin selectively approaching to whom you give your time and attention, these resources instantly increase in value. And this isn't cruelty, but healthy self-respect. Look at exclusive clubs or limited brand collections. Their desirability is built precisely on unavailability to most, and this same psychology works flawlessly in human relations. When you periodically say no, your yes acquires special weight, and approval received from you turns into a real achievement. This principle is universal. In personal life, a partner who can't be taken for granted evokes more interest. In business, an expert who refuses dubious projects is valued above an omnivorous executor. A leader who doesn't try to please everyone evokes genuine respect. However, remember that your selectivity must rely on real criteria and standards, not on desire to stroke your ego, because people subtly feel the difference between justified refusal and tyranny. Strategy 3. Show courage and go toward possible rejection with open visor. In a world where most prefer not to stick out, a person ready to risk and voice uncomfortable truth or make a bold proposal shines like a beacon of confidence. This isn't about recklessness, but cold calculation. You understand the stakes, realize the risks, but don't allow fear to paralyze your will. And this is precisely the position that opens doors to deals and alliances cautious people can only dream of. When you constantly demonstrate determination, others begin looking at you differently, assuming some secret knowledge or reliable plan B stands behind your confidence. Such a reputation works as a self-fulfilling prophecy. The bolder you act, the more you're respected, and the higher the respect, the less often you are refused. But even if you encounter rejection, you still win, receiving valuable experience, information about what didn't work, and respect for the courage of the attempt. Machiavelli wisely noted that a person neglecting reality for how things should be hastens their collapse rather than salvation. Therefore, don't live in fantasies about possible failures. Act despite uncertainty, because the one who steps into the unknown always defeats the one who waits for guarantees. Strategy 5. Rejection characterizes not you, but the one who voices it. This is the fundamental difference between those who failure breaks and those who use it as fuel for growth.
Understand that when you're rejected, it's not proof of your inadequacy, but demonstration of others' perception limitations, unable to recognize real value. This has nothing to do with arrogance or self-delusion. It's merely a question of maintaining correct coordinate system where your significance doesn't depend on anyone's ability to see it. The person who tells you no actually doesn't know you entirely. They don't see your true potential and can't evaluate the scale of your plans, relying in their judgments only on fragmentary information, their own fears, and internal limitations. When someone rejects your business idea, it's only a sign of their short-sightedness regarding the future. If they reject your feelings, it means people simply don't understand what depth you bring to relations, and refusal to acknowledge your leadership speaks only of their habit of being led, not at all about your ability to lead. This shift in viewing angle radically changes perception. Instead of bitterness of defeat, you begin to feel pity for those who missed the opportunity, and what's questioned is no longer your value, but their insight. History is full of examples when the greatest successes were born after a series of rejections. Publishers didn't believe in Harry Potter, recording studios drove away the Beatles, and investors laughed at startups that subsequently became billion-dollar giants. All these cases weren't objective reality assessments, but gross errors of people who failed to see the diamond right before their nose. If you perceive the situation this way, rejection transforms from a tragedy into valuable feedback, clearly dividing others into those who possess the gift of foresight and those deprived of it. Most often, people say no based on superficial impression or stereotype, not even realizing what exactly they're refusing. Therefore, their reaction demonstrates only the borders of their own perception, not your real worth. This understanding grants genuine freedom. Emotional pain leaves because you realize that the collision of others' limitations with your reality is an impersonal and inevitable process. Now let's move to the principle of power through fearlessness, which can be called Machiavelli's most important lesson. The one who doesn't fear being rejected cannot be controlled, and this gives colossal advantage in any sphere of life. Weak natures spend all their strength avoiding failures, adjusting every decision to fear of hearing no, and shrinking to the size of others' comfort zones just so not to evoke disapproval. People devoid of this fear exist in completely different reality. They directly express their opinion regardless of disputes and persistently move towards their goals without fearing failures or criticism. Their main asset becomes the ability to take responsibility and ask for what they need, knowing even a negative answer won't be a catastrophe.
While others are paralyzed by anxiety or wait for permission from authorities, such individuals themselves become authority, act, and achieve results, making any external approval meaningless. Such approach creates powerful magnetic effect. Others instinctively gravitate toward those who seem invulnerable to universal fears and begin following them, not because of their perfection, but thanks to their determination to move forward despite any obstacles. True leaders never dilute their ideas to please the crowd and don't seek constant approval. They broadcast their truth, allowing others to decide themselves whether to accept or reject it. Having stopped fearing, you transform from supplicant into legislator, who himself establishes standards of acceptable instead of desperately trying to meet others' expectations. This is fundamental initiative seizure. You begin using rejections as navigation tool and consciously take risks, tempering your character. Rejection becomes filter, sifting out unnecessary people, and protective mechanism that protects your time from unpromising alliances. As soon as you stop playing by imposed rules and begin creating your own systems, you stop merely surviving and begin truly controlling your fate. Most people will watch this material, not understandingly, but immediately return to habitual life soaked in fear and indecision. They'll continue avoiding serious challenges and bold steps, allowing fear of hearing no to control their destiny. But you're of different stock. You've already realized that rejection isn't enemy, but your weapon, and that true success is achieved only by those who stop trembling before negative answer. Perceive every received no as useful practice, and any rejection as necessary character training. In moments when you're rejected, you hone that very skill distinguishing winners from losers, ability to continue moving where others give up.
The world is full of opportunities, but entrance to them is guarded by the risk of being rejected. And if most retreat at sight of this barrier, you now know the secret. This guardian has power only over those who fear him. Pass through rejections as if they don't exist, perceiving the word no simply as a set of sounds, and act as if others' approval is merely pleasant but optional addition. Acting this way, you'll discover an incredible truth. You don't need anyone's permissions to take what's yours, and you don't require others' consent to remain yourself. Remember Machiavelli's wisdom. The one who doesn't fear rejection cannot be controlled. You absolutely don't have to live looking back at others' opinions to build the life you deserve. If these thoughts changed your view on the nature of rejection, support this idea and share it with those who need to stop hiding from reality. Stay with us to continue receiving food for thought, because your path from fear to fearlessness begins right now. Stop fearing rejection and start controlling everything around you.